Day 36. I thought today we'd go over some alternate forms. So you've practiced and practiced and practiced, and you've got these forms and they still don't look pretty to you. So instead of just making up your own letters, which you can do, there's lots of people who make up their own letters. You can do that. But I wanted to give you some options of letters that have been designed by designers and used with American cursive letters, so that you can, with some knowledge, then go and design your own letter, or just pick one of these that you like better. So the first is this capital A. That's the Zahner Blauser A. This A we can use, it's been used. It has this same thing from the H that we've been using in the H. We just use it with an A. So we come up, we start at the baseline, we go up, slant down, and then do our fish that we've been doing with the H. And that will read as an A. This is the Zahner Blauser B we've learned. There are two different options for your alternate form, and you can decide which one you like best. See how this kind of looks like this? If you were going to start using this A, maybe it would make sense to start using this B. So the first option, you start at the top and you come down and you loop up, and then you do your bowls, and then you do your I hook. That's one option. The next option is to start at the baseline and under curve up, slant down, loop around, do your bowls, and then instead of this hook, you kind of let the momentum push your bowl forward and you get that little thing. All three of these B's are acceptable. You just get to pick which one's the prettiest. And when you're looking at a whole piece of writing, the thing that makes the texture look the most pleasing and beautiful is repetition. So if you like this A, then repeating that shape with the B would be smart. If you like this B and you really like this hook, then you can do that B. The C, there's not much you can do with the C. The C just always is going to look like that. The one thing you could do is add a loop at the front. This is a calligraphy, a pointed pen calligraphy C. Sometimes it gets hard to read because when we do it with the pointed pen, we add some weight right here, and then it's easier to read because we have that weight telling us where the actual letter is and where the decoration is. So you would have to practice real hard to get this one in your monoline pen cursive looking legible. But you could start doing a little loop instead of a check. So Zahner Blauser has you do a check, but you could do a loop. And because I know you want to, you'd start, we have an elliptical this way, horizontal, that goes up into our elliptical on our slant. So we have a horizontal elliptical up into our slanted elliptical, and then you just kind of follow that momentum. And that's your C. And I didn't do a very good job with that. But let me do it one more time. So if your last name is Cook and you really just think that is such a boring C, you could practice that until you can get that going real nice and pretty quickly. Okay. Our next alternates are the D. The Zahner-Blauser D starts at the top, and this alternate D, because we have this loop down here at the bottom, we're not going to try and do this D. You could if you want, but it loses a bit of legibility because, well, would you like to see why? When you do this undercurve, slant, loop around and loop like this, it confuses you because you think, oh, is that an O? Is that a P that just went too far down? So that's why we don't. I'm not going to suggest you try and make that be your letter D. You could prove me wrong if you want, but I'm going to suggest if you want an alternate, start at the top, come down, loop just like we did in Zahner, and then instead of making your little loop right up here, you can just keep going and follow it through. There's not much you can do with the E. It's a lot like the C. I forgot I wanted to write a word. There's not much you can do with the E. You can do, this is our Zahner version. You could add little loops, a little loop and a loop, and then follow the momentum like here. You could do that. Our F. I kind of love an F. So our Zahner-Blauser F has that slant and then the I check seat and the cross and the thing. You can dress that up a little bit by giving this a loop, or you could use this understroke slant and then give it a loop and you still cross it. That is a perfectly acceptable F. The other thing you could do if you wanted to practice really hard is do this F but all in one stroke. So you start with a loop and a loop and a slant and then bring this seat all the way up and come and then that way. You could do that as an F. That's more of a calligraphic F than a handwriting F. But if you practiced and got these loops so you could do them real fast, that would be an acceptable F. The G. This is the Zahner-Blauser G. There's not much you can do to dress up that Zahner-Blauser G, but this is a pointed pen calligraphy G, and the way you do that is that same stroke as the C. Okay, let's move these so you're kind of related. So a horizontal ellipse up into our regular ellipse and then come down. And this, you might get it confused with a Y, but that's the way you do it. And the way we do it with a pointed pen is we put some pressure here so that that part is thicker. and then pressure here. So the weight tells you where the letter is. So you'd have to practice to get these looking like a G consistently. And I kind of love that the Zahner Blauser G is just so full of character. Our H's, there's not much you can do with the H. You can dress it up by adding a loop. And this we call a capital entrance. So you could do that and leave this the same as our Zahner Blauser. Or if you want to have something to practice, you can look up a different calligraphy H, and it'd be a loop, and a loop, and a tall loop. So you're doing it in one stroke. That's an H. But it requires more practice so that you can be able to get these loops quickly but still legibly. The I, there's nothing you can do with the I. That is just the I. And the only thing would be to do a manuscript I on a slant. The J, nothing you can do with the J. You could do a manuscript J on a slant. The K, same thing. The K is a K. You could do this same entrance stroke. So if you decided you liked this loop as an entrance stroke, you could make all of the letters with an entrance stroke have that loop. The L, I think the Zahner Blauser L is extremely legible. And so I would suggest kind of keeping with that L. But this L is used, and you can find it okay. Come back tomorrow and we'll do some more alternate capital letters.